computer apparently. So we are going to do it from my from my phone. I don't do it from the phone. So it's all good. Yeah. So you're gonna do it from my phone. All right. Okay. So we're learning. Um, we're learning this Ma'aser Parshas Pekudei. We already got started. We're gonna pick up right where we left off. Um, so we said Kihina Inyan. So now we're talking about Gili of Shechina. So what's the Mishkan all about? The Mishkan's about the Eibusha dwelling amongst us. And as Yirmiyah says, Yirmiyah 7:4, that the Yidden are a royal house for Hashem. And it's similar to what Medrash Tanchuma teaches us, that Hashem, the Tzava Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibusha desired leaders like David Taftayim. For there to be a Dira Bataftayim. So, Tzarech Lahavin, we need to understand. Hey, Tatty, do you have headphones by any chance?
Yeah.
Oh, you're wearing the headphones? Oh, you are on your headphones. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some noise I'm hearing that I wasn't hearing before. But who knows? Okay.
Well,
Okay.
the quality for you is not as good.
Yeah, because I'm. Okay, so hold on. Let me try this.
Okay, cool.
How's this?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So, excuse me. So, Medrash Tanchuma teaches us that Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the lowest world, which is our physical world. Tzarech Lahavin, we need to understand. Even without this idea that Hashem dwells in the Mishkan, Ksiv Yirmiyah Chav Gimel Chav Dalet 23:24 says, "Es Hashemayim Yes Aretz Ani Malei." I Hashem fill the world, the heavens and the earth, always. B'derech Memela, it's automatically default. So what does it mean that then Hashem is resting in the Mishkan? Hashem's always here. Hashem's everywhere. What do you mean Hashem is there at the Beis Hamikdash? He's everywhere. Hashem is here. Hashem is there. Hashtag my Uncle Mochi. So Hashem is everywhere. So what is this dwelling that is in the physical world that's more potent or that he's more present than anywhere else? So this idea is Kidira Zu. Dira. He's not just there. He's not just present. It's a dwelling. It's his crib. It's his house. It's his place, bro. That this dwelling would be a place where Hashem's light and power would be revealed. Not just present, not just Hashem is there and he sees what's going on there, but it's actually Gilei Elikus. So this means specifically Tachtainim, as we used to say, Tachtainels, all the way at the bottom, the lowest possible world. The meaning of lower with regards to Hashem is not about physical place and location, because who Yisbarich? The Eibishter is the Almighty. He's the omnipresent. He's the omnipotent. He's everywhere. He's not trapped like borders and places. Like Vacaville, he's not trapped in Vacaville. He's definitely there. Hashtag Chabad Solano County, but he's everywhere. Like it says in Parshas Kisisa, chapter 33, Pasuk Chav Aleph 21. Hine Mokim Iti. Space itself exists within me. So however, so what are we talking about? Pirish El Yoinim, Zaktainim. When we say higher and lower, we're not talking about the upper floors, upstairs and downstairs, upper floors and lower floors. We're talking about their spiritual level, or upper realms, lower realms. It is the lowest world in a level, in its stature, spiritual stature. The Hainu means it is the end. The world, hate to break it to you, the world is flat. It has an end. It's not a circle. They were right. Hashtag real flat earth. Spiritual flatness. There is an end. There's a tachlis. There's a seif. There's a culmination. There's a point where this comes to an end, and that's the whole total descent of all the spiritual world. It all comes down to this, baby. This is why when we understand, when we begin to grasp godliness, it is we can't fully grasp it. It's the hester v'tzimtzum gadol. It's in a greatly diminished and limited way. And darkness covers the land, as Yeshaya says in chapter. I don't remember exactly. I think it's chapter Tes, or what does it say? I think it means Parak Tes, Pasuk base. Anyway, so V'nisava HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sorry. So yeah. So now we say it's so low. What's this lowness? So then, when Hashem wants V'nisava HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyos, the Eibishter wants to have this dwelling place, in a way of dwelling. He's chilling. He's there. He's open. He's able to let his hair down, his beard down, untuck his shirt a little bit, maybe unbutton the second button. Specifically to illuminate this darkness. Behind all Yidei Torah mitzvahs. And this happens through, you guessed it, Torah mitzvahs. As our rabbis teach us in Avos, chapter 4, Mishnah 17, Yafa sha'achas b'tshuva ma'asim tovim b'olam hazeh mikol chayei olam haba. 1 hour of tshuva and good deeds in this world is more precious than all the life in the world to come. This is because through Torah mitzvahs, one draws more revelation of Hashem than what is experienced in the level of the life of the world to come, which is Gan Eden. Even though the spiritual level of Gan Eden, called the world to come, Olam Haba, there is a great revelation of Hashem's light. Nonetheless, it's nothing compared to the connection Hashem established through actual Torah mitzvahs in this physical world. So now, when we facilitate Hashem's dwelling place, we're partners in building it. We're able to push away that other side, that otherness, anything that is other than Hashem, that is diametrically opposed to and outside of Hashem, so to speak. We're talking about in each person that inclination for evil, something else, for unholy, that which is not Hashem, not Elikus. So now, to get into a little bit of Sitra Achra, just to remind ourselves a little bit, the Rabbi Avram Katz, who writes this translation that I'm using for the Good Torah, he quickly gets into what does it mean, Sitra Achra, the side of otherness, the side that is opposite of holiness, like we said, diametrically opposed. So this otherness, we're talking about separateness, fragmentation. Everything feels separate from its source, which is Hashem. Everything's source is Hashem. Everything comes from Hashem. Everything is really just a piece of Hashem. So this otherness means it's when you feel other, when you feel separate from it. Anything that doesn't feel one with Hashem, that oneness is the opposite of it. But whenever any bit of ourselves, any part of ourselves is not united and doesn't feel united, is feeling the opposite. The Yetzer Hara means literally the bad, unholy nature or inclination. So these aren't necessarily, we're not talking sadistic, evil, malicious necessarily. It can even really go back to even just the Nefesh HaBahamis, that animal soul. Just want physical enjoyment, service of self. So these desires, though, are the opposite of the desires of the divine soul. The divine soul doesn't want to serve itself, it just wants to serve Hashem. It just wants to connect to Hashem through Torah mitzvahs. So in our personal life, when we have iskafis ishrachra, when we subdue that otherness, that other side, we're overcoming. It means overcoming that base natural desire for physicality, which very often distracts us from serving Hashem. So now, Kamay Shekazov, Bazar Parshas Truma's Daf. The Zohar under Parshas Truma, page 128, it says, Kad iskafis sitra achra, when the sitra achra, when that otherness, that other side is subdued, The depths of God's glory is able to rise up and up and beyond everything in the world. So at the beginning, a person needs to subdue that Yitzhahara. Just hold that thing back. And by holding back that just putting up that dam and holding back the Yitzhahara, then is able to flow through this light that's able to transform the darkness of the animal soul into spiritual light. The Indian is kafia zu. So now a person needs to subdue this Yitzhahara in hainu b'chol hey chushim, in all five senses. Kemoi, like Beira. As it says in Yeshaya, Eitzim Einav Mir'ais. Sorry, Bere'ia, excuse me, not Yira. Five senses, right? Sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch. Okay. Bere'ia, Eitzim Einav Mir'ais Bera. Yeshaya 33:15 says, close his eyes to avoid seeing what is bad. You gotta watch your eyes, watch your sight. Lechein b'shmiya. So too with smell, hearing, and smell, and taste, and touch, right? So v'chein b'dibur ha'maisa. So not just the five senses, but also our speech and our action. Chen machshava u'midas hanefesh. It also applies to one's speech and action, to one's thoughts and emotions, or character traits of people. So now, Rabbi Katz points out, he says, it's not so clear to him what exactly the best translation for midas hanefesh would be. We're talking emotions, like I'm not supposed to hate my fellow Jew? Or are we talking midas? Are we talking midas, like, or emotion? Is it emotions or character traits, basically? Like I'm not supposed to get angry. I can feel a certain way about something or someone, but I'm not supposed to start expressing that and dwelling that. What are we talking about? So he supposits, Rabbi Katz supposits, maybe it's both ideas. Both to unholy emotions like hatred and to unholy character traits like anger or depression and the like. So Kaddish.
By the way, I think Avram, where he's from. But anyways, I think he was in the yeshiva with me.
That's a different Avram Katz. This Avram Katz is someone who's in yeshiva with me. He's a lot younger. I don't think he was with you unless he was not born in a previous life, maybe. No, he's a couple years older than me. He was one of the shluchim, I think, when I was in yeshiva, and now he's a mashpia. He's a teacher. See him in Crown Heights every now and again, and he writes a lot of. There's a whole thing of lessons in Likutei Torah. Beautiful episode, translation of my Mar. Anyway, so a little sponsor word from our sponsor. Feel free to go donate to that to anyone who's watching. So as our sages say, you should make yourself holy, even with what is permissible to you. It says in Gemara Yavamas, Talmud Yavamas, page 28. Excuse me. Through this subduing of the Yitzhahara, you'll be able to reach this level of transformation, which is such an opportune time. It's other. It's all about Benahapachu. Everything was transformed, flipped over. Sabcha means to flip it upside down. So Leah is hey chushim, achshav is shalai. We'll be able to transform and flip our five senses, and then they can become mamish kli la'arein seif baruch hu. It can actually become a recipient for the divine light, the infinite, Hashem's infinite light. Zeu shenemar al Yisrael, and this is what it says about the Jewish people in Yirmiyah 7:4. Heichal Hashem Hema, they are a royal house for Hashem, for Havaya. Perush Heichal Havaya. What is this meaning of Heichal, of royal house for Havaya? Hainu ki mitzvahs aseh mitzvahs leitzos. The idea is we have mitzvahs aseh that we're commanded to do, actions that we're proactively supposed to do, and then there's mitzvahs leitzos not to do them that we're supposed to refrain from doing. Tuluyin b'shem Havaya. They're both derived from and connected to Hashem's name of what He's called when we refer to Him as name Havaya, which spells out the letters when you rearrange them Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, as we'll get into momentarily. And now that moment's about to come. Mitzvah say Bevav Hey. Okay? Mitzvah say are connected to the letters Vav and Hey. Well, mitzvahs loisa say Yud and Hey. Okay? So you have mitzvahs loisa say are Chachma and Bina. Let's get into the way he writes it down. I'll just read it out. He really gets into the explanation really nice. Basically, there's 4 letters of Hashem's name, of one of the most popular names for Hashem, Yud, Hey, and Vav and Hey. And we refer to it as Havaya because we don't say that name. It's such a high and holy name. So when we rearrange it, it's Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, we say call it Havaya. Now I'm going to refer to it as the name Havaya. The first 2 letters of Hashem's Havaya name are Yud and Hey. The Yud, that little dot of a letter, that pinpoint, that beginning point is Chachma, beginning point of wisdom. The idea, the beginning of an idea, that little seed, that kernel of thought. And the Hey starts to broaden to the width of Bina, understanding. So these levels are similar to the 2 parts of intellect, the source of that initial flash of insight that we just said, and the logical processing of that insight. Or in other words, imagination and logic. What?
Cutting out the last paragraph.
So we're saying about what Yud and Hey is. So Chachma and Bina, Chachma, in other words, you could call them Chachma being imagination, beginning of just what you imagine, these ideas that pop into our heads, and we just start with, and the Hey, beginning of that processing, Bina, which is logic, where you actually start to think it out and process it through. Which is why I like the way he says that, because if you think about like dreaming, for example, it's just the subconscious mind expressing itself. When you wake up and your conscious mind turns on and you actually start to think about some of your dreams, first of all, we forget most of our dreams, but even when we remember our dream, you start to think about it, you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense because there's no logic. It's just chachma, just imagination. It's just the ideas. So these 2 levels are how a person reveals himself to himself in his own mind. And understanding is my chachma and my bina, just how I'm able to process ideas and thoughts that I'm having and process it through. The last 2 letters of Hashem Havaya, Hashem's name Havaya, are Vav and Hey. The Vav corresponds to Ze'er Anpin, it's called, the Kabbalistic Ze'er Anpin, and the Hey being to Malchus. So the Vav, the 6 midos, the 6 attributes, like we said before, and then Hey, that last one, Malchus, which is actually dominion, so to speak, meaning dominion over others, actually it starts to express outside of oneself. So these levels are similar to a person's emotions and his ability to express himself in thought, speech, and action. These 2 levels are how some relates to something outside of himself. For example, to another person. In Hashem, as he shines in the world of Atzilus, his revelation is much greater in Chachma and Bina than in Ze'er Anpin and Malchus. Just as a person's revelation to himself will always be incomparably deeper than what he shows to someone else. Right? So, of course, the way I'm with Hashem, with Chachma and Atzilus, it's more my atzmas, it's so much deeper than the way I'm able to express myself. This higher level of revelation of Chachma and Bina is expressed through fulfilling the mitzvahs like that, as will be further explained. The lower level of Ze'er Anpin and Malchus is then expressed through mitzvahs say, actions, the way I'm able to relate to others and other things outside of myself. So now,
let me take a break. I need to make a, and then I'll call you back. Give me like 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. We'll pick it up soon.